Man, bro, did a song with Lul Timm. Man, y'all, shut y'all. They ain't gonna do shit ass niggas up, man.
Nobody expected this, and when it dropped, the entire culture paused. That's Lul Timm, tied to King Von's case, calling out OBlock affiliates after Chief Keef link with NBA YoungBoy. The block had already lost someone close, and now his actions on camera reopened old wounds. What did OBlock say that shook the internet? And did Timm just make things worse for himself? Let's break it down. On February 13th, 2026, the rap world was doing its usual thing, fan scrolling, debating top 5 lists, arguing about legends. Then out of nowhere, a track dropped that stopped everyone in their tracks. Title Rooms, and produced by Michael, made it. It featured 2 names nobody expected on the same beat, NBA YoungBoy and Chief Keef. The studio footage surfaced showing them vibing in the lab, tension-free, and social media exploded. Not just casual chatter, timelines lit up. Blogs posted within the hour, and comment sections flooded. Understanding their history, the rivalries, and the broken bonds, it was clear this wasn't just a collaboration. It was a statement. And for OBlock, it didn't feel like music. It felt personal.
Lul Timm responded to people being mad at Chief Keef and NBA YoungBoy just announcing a new collab dropping soon. This is something to talk about.
Let's break down who we're dealing with, because context is everything in these streets. Chief Keef, born Keith File Kozort on August 15th, 1995, is widely recognized as the originator of OBlock and the pioneer of drill music, and that's no exaggeration. Sosa grew up in Parkway Gardens on the south side of Chicago, the same housing projects that were renamed OBlock in 2011 after the loss of Ode Perry. He was rapping at just 5 years old on his mother's karaoke machine, and by the time he was a teenager on house arrest in 2011 for a gun charge, he was already uploading freestyles to YouTube that would go on to define an entire subgenre of hip-hop. The hard-hitting beats, the auto-tuned ad-libs, and the raw, unfiltered lyrics about life in the trenches that was Sosa's blueprint. Every drill rapper who came after him, from the UK to Atlanta, has built on the foundation he laid while still a young kid.
I'm starting to see why people had a saying that the best thing Chief Keef could have done was distance himself from OBlock and get out of Chicago.
By 2012, Sosa wasn't just rising, he was dominating the game. His mixtape Back from the Dead and the breakout track I Don't Like caught so much attention that Kanye West jumped on a remix with Pusha T, Jadakiss, and Big Sean. The song didn't just go viral. It landed on the Billboard Hot 100 and sparked a bidding war that led to a $6 million deal with Interscope Records, including his own Glory Boy Entertainment imprint. That same year, his debut album Finally Rich dropped with features from 50 Cent and Wiz Khalifa, and tracks like Love Sosa, now quintuple platinum, solidified his status as a godfather of drill music. But here's something people don't always realize: he was just 16, carrying the weight of the streets while avoiding real danger from rival crews. His team moved him to a suburban mansion in Northfield for safety, and at 16 or 17, that was his first real step out of the hood, a move that would change everything. On the other side of this story is NBA YoungBoy, Kentrell Deshaun Golden from Baton Rouge, one of the most streamed artists in the world. Normally, a collaboration between 2 stars of this caliber would be a win for everyone. But what makes this situation tense is YoungBoy's long-running beef with Lil Durk and F. We're talking diss tracks, subliminals on multiple albums, and affiliations with people connected to real-life conflicts involving F members. YoungBoy has even dissed King Von, rest in peace, more than once. Von wasn't just anyone, he was OBlock royalty, the heart of that block's identity after Keef stepped back. So from OBlock's perspective, NBA YoungBoy isn't just another rapper. He's the OP capital O, capital P.
What parts of the body?
I get shot in my right hip bone, and I get shot on my ass. It go in and out though.
That clip right there is Lul Timm himself, the man tied to King Von's death, casually recounting the night that changed everything. We'll get into that soon, but here's why it matters. A man from OBlock is making music with the artists connected to the people who've been trying to avenge what Timm did. That's why the streets went off. The numbers on Rooms prove this wasn't just hype 4 days after release. It hit 3 million YouTube views, 1.2 million on TikTok, and 304,000 first-day streams on Spotify. Mike Will made and produced the track for his upcoming album R3 set, dropping March 20th, 2026. Youngboy handled the melodic chorus with his signature auto-tune energy, while Sosa delivered a long verse about survival, money, and opposition classic Keef energy. OBlock didn't take it lightly. Affiliates called it a snake move, claiming Sosa was flipping on his own people for a check in studio time. One post said Keef had gone against his roots and that OBlock would thrive without him. Others went further, declaring Keef permanently banned from stepping back on the block, even though he hasn't been to Chicago in years. The emotion behind it was real. To them, this collab felt like Sosa was disrespecting Vaughn's memory, co-signing everything Youngboy and his camp represented: the disses, the mockery, the tension directed at OBlock since November 2020. In the hood, perception is everything. Intentions don't matter. What matters is how the streets interpret it, and Rooms landed like a slap to the face.
Loyalty for me is strong though. It's like loyalty to me is for everybody that a nigga fucking with. So
At the heart of this story is loyalty: who you ride for, who rides for you, who's solid, and who's snaking. That's the core of everything happening here. This wasn't just about a song. It was about over a decade of built-up resentment, broken bonds, stolen property, unpaid debts, and a block that felt abandoned by the very man who put them on the map. To understand why OBlock reacted the way they did when Rooms dropped, you have to go back to the beginning, to when the bond between Keef and the block first started turning sour. The fallout, the shootings, the blood that never dried the tension didn't start with Rooms, and it didn't start with Youngboy. It goes back even further, to when Sosa first began rising and the person who was supposed to be riding with him from day one began feeling some type of way. That person was Lil Dake, born Derek Banks in 1992, who grew up on Inglewood's 300 block, also known as Lamron, just around the corner from OBlock. Both came up as Black Disciples affiliates, linking through mutual friends as kids. They shared the same streets, dodged the same dangers, and were trying to make it out together. Dirk has even said, Keith put Chicago on the map during the early drill wave. For a moment, it seemed like Sosa and Dirk were about to run the city together, two young bulls from the South Side ready to take over the game. But around 2013, that whole dynamic began to shift. The word on the streets was simple. Dirk caught a gun charge and needed around $10,000 for bail, and Keef allegedly didn't come through. That wasn't even the first time something like that happened. Supposedly, OBlock's own Trey 5 needed about $25,000 a bond, and Key didn't help then either. For the guys still posted up on the block, still in the field, catching cases and losing homers, that was seen as a serious betrayal. You don't blow up off the hood and leave your people hanging when they need you the most. That's how they viewed it. Things only got grittier. There was a situation where Boss Top, a known OBlock member, allegedly ran up in Keef's crib and hit a lick on him. On top of that, reports said Vaughn himself swiped 2 of Keef's guns. After that, Sosa was done with the block emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. He was over the politics and over trying to maintain relationships with people who kept crossing him. His exit happened in stages, each step pulling him further from the only world he had ever known. First, there was a suburban mansion at 16, where his team literally removed him for his own safety. Then, in 2014, his cousin Blood Money was killed, a lost key as had made him realize he had to grow up. He began thinking about a permanent move, imagining life outside Chicago's constant danger. Then in 2015, the final straw, 20 police officers showed up with AK-47s over a popped motorbike tire. That's when he packed up the squad and moved to LA for good, calling the city's quieter environment a game changer for both his mental health and his music. He described the move as the best decision he ever made, and looking at where everyone else ended up, it's hard to argue with that. Out in LA, Sosa built a completely new life from the ground up. 9 kids, independent releases on his own terms after Interscope let him go in 2014, and a focus on art collecting, something he picked up during rehab that helped him shift his perspective. He launched a 43B label in 2022 with BMG and RBC, dropping projects like Almighty So 2 in 2024 that showed real growth and maturity, fully removing himself from the politics back home. The man hasn't set foot in Chicago for years, avoiding the city due to legal heat and genuine safety risks. For those still posted on the block, living that life, burying homers, and catching cases, Sosa's decade-long absence didn't feel like growth, it felt like abandonment. It seemed like he made it out, closed the door behind him, and forgot about everyone still trapped inside. That resentment had been building for over 10 years, and when Rooms dropped, it blew the lid off completely. But the real spark, the moment that turned online disses and subliminals into a blood debt with real bodies involved, happened on November 6, 2020, outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta, Georgia. That night changed everything. King Von, OBlock's golden child, and a rising artist signed to DXF label, the man who gave the block a renewed identity after Sosa left got into it with Quando Rondo's crew in the parking lot. Von wasn't just another rapper. He was a storyteller, the pride of the block. His album Welcome to OBlock put their struggles on wax in a raw and real way, proving the block could still produce greatness even after Sosa left. Surveillance footage showed Vaughn approaching Rondo's car and punching through the window, sparking a full-blown brawl. That's when Quando's right-hand man, Timothy Leaks, a.k.a. Lul Timm, 22, from Savannah, pulled his weapon and fired, hitting Vaughn multiple times in the chest and stomach.
You pull out and you shoot 4 times.
Yeah, the gun jammed.
Oh, the gun jammed?
Yeah.
All hell broke loose that night. Off-duty cops in the area got involved, and the chaos escalated fast. 6 people were hit in total, and 3 didn't make it out alive. King Vaughn at just 26, Mark Blackley at 34, and 1 other individual. The scene was pure chaos, bodies on the ground, gun smoke in the air, and sirens slicing through the Atlanta night. Tim was hit himself, taking 1 shot to the hip and another to the backside. By the next day, he was booked on felony murder charges straight from his hospital bed. At just 22 years old, lying in the hospital recovering from gunshot wounds, the state of Georgia was already trying to lock him up for life.
It's the second time I done got shot.
Are you more calm about it this time since you've gone through it before?
Yeah, because like the first time I got shot, I didn't even have a panic attack.
Tim posted a $100,000 bond in March 2021 and spent over 2 years under that cloud, waiting for the system to decide his fate. Then in August 2023, Fulton County prosecutors did the unthinkable. They dropped every single charge against him before a grand jury could even issue an indictment. They cited Georgia's Stand Your Ground law, noting that the security footage clearly showed Vaughn throwing the first punch and being the aggressor. The state ultimately ruled that Tim acted to protect his people from serious harm. The legal system looked at the evidence and called it self-defense. Tim's attorney, Noah Pines, made it clear the case against him was dismissed before it ever reached indictment. Case closed for OBlock. This was the worst possible outcome. The man who put their brother in the ground walked out free. And he didn't stay quiet. After the charges were dropped, Tim started releasing diss tracks, posting provocative videos, and linking with agitators like Charleston White, who openly called Vaughn a demon and praised him for what he did. It was salt in the wound, month after month. Then, 3 days after Rooms hit the internet, Tim did the one thing that guaranteed OBlock would snap the clapback that broke the internet wide open. On February 16, 2026, DJ Academics posted a clip on Instagram showing Tim, Vaughn's shooter, the man the feds couldn't touch, looking straight into the camera and addressing OBlock with a level of disrespect you don't come back from. He wasn't being subtle or slick. He was telling the whole block to sit down and shut up. Let that marinate for a second. The man who took Vaughn's life, the same Vaughn who was OBlock's heart, their pride, the one who carried the block's legacy through songs, stories, and loyalty that ran bone deep, is on camera calling them out by name. His telling them their grief is nothing, their anger is empty, and for all the tough talk and internet gang banging, they ain't about anything. In the culture, in the streets, in any hood in America, those are fighting words. And Tim knew exactly what he was doing.